If you're preparing for the Microsoft Power Platform Functional Consultant exam, don't schedule your test before watching this video. Because in this video, I'll show you the most important Power Platform Functional Consultant exam questions and topics that helped me pass the exam quickly. If you're planning to pass the Microsoft Power Platform Functional Consultant certification exam on your first attempt, you're in the right place. This certification is offered by Microsoft, and it focuses on Dataverse, Power Apps, Power Automate, and security configuration within the Power Platform ecosystem. In this video, we'll cover Microsoft Power Platform Functional Consultant exam questions and preparation tips that can help you pass the exam quickly. Also, if you want the complete Microsoft Power Platform Functional Consultant Practice Questions PDF, the download link is available in the description.
Question 1. The owner of a company needs to know who signs into the system. You need to ensure that the owner can view the user audit logs. Where do you activate user auditing? A. System settings. B. Personal settings. C. Customize the system. D. Microsoft 365 compliance. Correct answer. A. System settings. Explanation. User auditing is activated from system settings. To view the audit logs, you use the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center. Question 2. Your organization does not permit the use of custom code. You need to create a view that can be viewed by all users in the organization. Where should you create the view? A. Advanced Find. B. Entities component of a solution. C. Microsoft Excel template. D. Templates area. Correct answer. B. Entities component of a solution. Explanation. In the classic view, when you select the Entity section and then Views, you can create a public view that is visible to all users across the organization without using any custom code.
Quick exam. Tip 1. Important thing about the Microsoft Power Platform Functional Consultant exam is that many questions focus on practical real-world scenarios rather than just definitions. So make sure you clearly understand these key topics: Dataverse security roles and business units. Business rules versus workflows versus Power Automate duplicate detection rules, virtual tables field-level security, auditing and Dataverse relationship cascade behaviors.
Question 3. You create a Power Apps portal for students. Free courses must be automatically available to all students after they sign in. You need to assign default permissions to students. What should you do? A. Create a student's web role. Set authenticated user's role to true and assign the web role to each registered user. B. Create entity permissions and assign them to users at registration. C. Create a student's web role with authenticated user's role set to true, create appropriate entity permissions, and assign the entity permissions to the web role. D. None. Correct answer. C. Create a student's web role with authenticated user's role set to true, create appropriate entity permissions, and assign the entity permissions to the web role. Explanation. The authenticated user role is the default role for all signed-in users and does not need to be manually assigned to each user. Entity permissions must be linked to roles, not directly to individual users. Question 4. You create workflows to automate business processes. You need to configure a workflow that is triggered when a condition is met, runs immediately, and sends an email based on a mail merge template. Be triggered when a condition is met. Arrow A. Publish the workflow. B. Subject contains data. C. Trigger when Power Automate button is pressed. D. Run workflow on record change. Correct answer. D. Run workflow on record change. Explanation. A workflow that triggers automatically when a condition is met must be configured to run when a record changes and matches specific conditions. Option D is correct because it directly reflects an automatic trigger based on conditions. Why others are wrong? A. Publish the workflow. Only activates the workflow, not a trigger condition. B. Subject contains data. Right arrow. This is a condition detail, not a trigger setup. C. Trigger when Power Automate button is pressed. Right arrow. This is a manual trigger, not automatic. Question 5. A company has a business process flow named BPFA. Users can switch to any other newly configured flows but must not use BPFA. Which two actions achieve this goal? A. Remove all privileges for BPFA-B. Use a business rule to prevent switching to BPFA-C. Deactivate BPFA-D. Change the display order to move BPFA to the bottom. Correct answer. A. Remove all privileges for BPFA and C. Deactivate BPFA. Explanation. Removing all privileges for BPFA prevents users from accessing it based on permissions. Deactivating BPFA removes it from the available flows entirely. Both options independently achieve the goal. Question 6. You are creating a business rule to implement new business logic. You must apply the business logic to a Canvas app that has a single screen named Screen 1. Which scope should you use? A. Screen 1B, Entity C, All Forms D, Global. Correct answer B, Entity Explanation. For Canvas apps, you must use Entity, now called Table, as the scope for business rules. Screen 1 is not a valid scope option. This is an important terminology note. Entity is now referred to as Table in the latest platform updates. Question 7. A user named Elizabeth Rice gets married and changes her name to Elizabeth Mueller. You need to update her sign-in name without losing any application history. Solution. Ask the Microsoft 365 administrator to sign into the admin portal and change the username. Does this solution meet the goal? A. Yes. B. No. C. Both. D. None. Correct answer. A. Yes. Explanation. Username changes must be done at the Microsoft 365 admin level. This correctly updates the sign-in name across all services while preserving the complete application history. Changing it only inside the app record would not fully meet the goal. Question 8. You must create a new entity to support a new feature for an app. Records for the entity must be associated with a business unit and specify security roles for the business unit. Which entity ownership type should you use? A. User or team-owned. B. Organization-owned. C. None. D. Business-owned. Correct answer. A. User or team-owned. Explanation. User or team-owned records support business unit association and tiered role-based access control. The access levels include organization, business unit, child business unit, and user-owned, making this the correct choice when security roles per business unit are required. Question 9. You need to ensure that there are no leads for a customer before you create a new opportunity for that customer. How should you configure the duplicate detection rule? A. Create a duplicate detection rule on opportunity using opportunity fields only. B. Create a duplicate detection rule comparing opportunity with lead based on customer details. C. Enable duplicate detection only for leads. D. Create a workflow instead of duplicate detection rule. Correct answer B. Create a duplicate detection rule comparing opportunity with lead based on customer details. Explanation. The requirement is to ensure that when a new opportunity is created, the system checks whether a lead already exists for the same customer. This means a cross-entity duplicate detection is needed between lead and opportunity. Option B is correct because it compares records across two different entities, lead and opportunity. It uses customer details such as name, email, or company to detect duplicates, while other options are incorrect. A only checks duplicates within opportunity, not against leads. C applies only to leads and does not affect opportunity creation. D workflows are not designed for duplicate detection rules. Question 10. A company uses shared warehouse devices that are always powered on. Unauthorized users uploaded files after another user forgot to log out of a device. What should you configure for each requirement? A. Disable user accounts manually after each session. B. Configure conditional access policies. C. Enable automatic session timeout. Sign out after inactivity. D. Assign device administrator roles. Correct answer. C. Enable automatic session timeout. Explanation. Automatic session timeout ensures that if a user forgets to log out, the system will automatically sign them out after a period of inactivity. This prevents unauthorized users from accessing the system using an active session on shared devices. Option A is not practical because manual intervention is required. Option B, conditional access. Controls access conditions but does not directly log users out after inactivity. Option D is unrelated and may increase security risk instead of reducing it. Question 11. You have two Microsoft Power Platform environments. Users in one environment must not be able to see the other environment. You need to grant salespeople access to the sales company environment. What should you do? A. Add salespeople to an Office 365 security group. B. Add salespeople to a security role. C. Set privileges. D. Set app security. Correct answer. A. Add salespeople to an Office 365 security group. Explanation. If an environment has an associated security group, only members of that group can access it. Users outside the group will not even see the environment listed. This is the correct way to control environment-level visibility. Question 12. A veterinary office has a Canvas app to manage appointments. On the appointment form, if a client selects Other from the pet type dropdown, a text field must appear for additional details. What should you configure? A. Workflow. B. Business process flow. C. Business rule. D. None. Correct answer. C. Business rule. Explanation. Business rules can show or hide columns based on field conditions without requiring any custom code. This makes it the perfect solution for this scenario where a field visibility change is needed based on a drop-down selection. Question 13. You create a parent entity and a child entity with a 1-to-N relationship. You need to ensure that when the owner changes on the parent record, all child records are also assigned to the new owner. Which relationship behavior type should you use? A. Referential. B. Referential, restrict delete. C. Parental. D. Restrict. Correct answer, C. Parental explanation. Parental relationships cascade the assign action down to all child records automatically. When the parent record owner changes, the system will update all related child records to reflect the new owner without any manual intervention. Question 14. You plan to implement Microsoft Dataverse. You must track changes for 2 specific columns in the account table and maintain a historical log of those changes. Which 2 actions should you perform? A. Enable auditing for the account table. B. Enable auditing for the 2 specific columns. C. Enable change tracking for the account table. D. Enable change tracking for the 2 specific columns. Correct answer, A. Enable auditing for the account table. And B. Enable auditing for the 2 specific columns. Explanation. Auditing in Dataverse works at 3 levels: organization, table, and column. For column-level auditing to take place, auditing must be enabled at all 3 levels. Change tracking is a different feature and does not maintain the historical change logs that auditing provides. Question 15. You need to automate a process that triggers when a new lead is created in Dataverse and sends an email to the sales team immediately. Which type of workflow should you use? A. Business process flow. B. Instant flow, manual trigger. C. Automated cloud flow. D. Scheduled flow. Correct answer, C. Automated cloud flow. Explanation. Automated flows in Power. Automate are triggered automatically based on an event, such as creation of a new lead. Manual/instant flows require user initiation, and scheduled flows run at specific times, not immediately on an event. Question 16. A user has access to an existing Dataverse database. You need to ensure the user can create Canvas apps that consume data from Dataverse. You must not grant permissions that are not required. Which out-of-the-box security role should you assign? A. Environment admin. B. System customizer. C. Common data service user. D. Environment maker. Correct answer. D. Environment maker. Explanation. The environment maker role allows users to create apps, flows, and connections within an environment. Since the user already has data access, no additional data permissions are needed. Environment admin and system customizer both grant far more permissions than what is required here. Question 17. You create a custom table in Dataverse and want to add sample data for testing. What is the correct way to do this? A. Use Power BI to import data. B. Use Data Import Wizard in Dataverse. C. Add data manually in Power Apps Table View. D. Export data to Excel and then import. Correct answer, B. Data Import Wizard. Explanation. The Data Import Wizard allows bulk uploading of data into Dataverse tables from CSV or Excel files. Manual addition is possible but inefficient for multiple records. Power BI is used for reporting, not data entry. Question 18. A company conducts financial transactions in Brazil. Transactions will stop, but the office will remain open. Users must not be able to create new records with Brazilian currency, but all historical records must remain intact. What should you do? A. Disable the Brazilian language pack. B. Rename the Brazilian currency. C. Delete the Brazilian currency record. D. Deactivate the Brazilian currency record. Correct answer, D. Deactivate the Brazilian currency record. Explanation. You cannot delete a currency that is already in use by existing records. Deactivating the currency prevents it from being selected for any new transactions while keeping all existing historical records completely intact and accessible. Question 19. On a contact record, a user creates a note record containing the word running. 1 week later, the user cannot find the contact record associated with that note. Solution. Use Relevance search to search for the word run. Does this solution meet the goal? A. Yes. B. No. C. Both. D. None. Correct answer, A. Yes. Explanation. Relevance search, now called Dataverse search, finds inflectional word matches like run, running, and ran across all entities, including notes and attachments on emails and appointments. Categorized search or quick find would not find this record. Question 20. You need to ensure that duplicate leads are not created in your Dataverse environment. What should you configure? A. Business rule. B. Duplicate detection rule. C. Workflow. D. Security role. Correct answer, B. Duplicate detection rule. Explanation. Duplicate detection rules in Dataverse check for existing records with similar attributes and prevent duplicates. Business rules enforce field-level logic, workflows automate processes, and security roles control access.
If you want to practice more exam questions like these, you can download the complete Microsoft Power Platform Functional Consultant Practice Questions PDF from the link in the description. The full PDF includes 300 updated exam questions, detailed explanations for every question, real exam simulation practice tests, coverage of all Microsoft Power Platform Functional Consultant exam topics, preparation materials for Microsoft certifications. The download link is available in the description below. If this video helped you understand the Microsoft Power Platform Functional Consultant exam, make sure to like this video, comment how many questions you answered correctly. Subscribe for more certification exam preparation videos. Download the full Microsoft Power Platform Functional Consultant PDF from the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your Microsoft Power Platform Functional Consultant certification.